This is a race for the times.
Everyone, welcome to the 2026 ALD African Liberation Day. We give it up for it. I'll be your MC for the evening. My name is Isaiah. I'm with the Sacramento chapter of the AAPRP. I want to start off and give a thank you to the EastSide Arts Alliance for continued allowance of the space. Thank you for everyone for coming out today, being with us. Some of you may be well acquainted with the history of the ALD. If not, I'm just going to give a quick rundown, give some context to the celebration. ALD was founded in 1958 when the Ghanaian people led by Kwame Nkrumah convened the first conference of independent states held in Accra, Ghana, and attended by 8 independent African states. The 15th of April was declared Africa Freedom Day. The purpose was to mark each year onward the progress of the liberation movement and to symbolize the determination of the people of Africa to free themselves from foreign domination and exploitation. Between 1958 and 1963, the nation and class struggle intensified in Africa and the world. 17 countries eventually won their independence, and in 1960 it was proclaimed the Year of Africa. And then on May 25th, 1963, 31 African heads of state convened at a summit, meeting to found the OAU, the Organization of African Unity. And then on May 25th was declared African Liberation Day. Just for context, I believe today is the 63rd day of African Liberation Day, the 68th celebration overall. Just wanted to note that this is an international celebration, not just here in Oakland, it's happening worldwide. I think we also have a webinar tomorrow if you have the chance to tune in. Since then, the world has witnessed the assassination of MLK, Malcolm X, the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah, and the invasion of Cuba, as well as many other nations. This period had marked a temporary setback for the Pan-African movement, and since 1966 was characterized by a lull in ALD activities. Neo-colonialism was imposed upon the people as the new stage of capitalist imperialist strategy in Africa. Out of that intense struggle, new leaders were born, such as Mbalia Kamara, Patrice Lumumba, Frantz Fanon, and countless others that continued the movement linked to Kwame Nkrumah's original Pan-African stance. We understand Pan-Africanism to be the total liberation and unification of Africa under an all-African socialist government, and it must be the primary objective of all black revolutionaries throughout the world. It is an objective which, when achieved, will bring about the fulfillment of the aspirations of Africans and the people of African descent everywhere. It will, at the same time, advance the triumph of the international socialist revolution. To kind of speak to the purpose of today's purpose of the ALD in today's context, as we know, the theme for 2026 is Revolutionary Pan-Africanism fights in solidarity with oppressed people everywhere. Our struggle is one. Today, ALD is a permanent mass institution in the worldwide Pan-African movement. An institution, it is stronger today because the masses of African people are stronger, and ALD is their day. As a day of work in the area of political education and organization, it reflects the fact that we have not obtained our freedom, and thus it is a day to reaffirm our commitment to Pan-Africanism, the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism. At ALD, we also deepen our understanding of other just struggles and affirm our role in the world socialist revolution. ALD has but one direction, forward to a unified socialist Africa. It is growing as the level of awareness about Pan-Africanism and the primacy of Africa grows. It is growing as progressive and revolutionary organizations grow. And lastly, it is growing as the masses make increasing victories against capitalism, neo-colonialism, racism, and Zionism. Go ahead, give it up one time. On your brain as we go through today's presentation, just to give everyone a little understanding. The program is scheduled to end past 4 p.m., so hopefully that doesn't interfere with anyone's time constraints. We hope that you can stay for the full amount. We're going to go ahead and start the program with the libation. from Oakland, a longtime organizer within the party.
Greetings, family. Welcome to African Liberation Day. So appreciate having all of you here. You know, we use this day to have good energy. So I know you came for the right reasons, and we're going to make sure that you leave with the right understanding of what we're working for. We want to offer a libation, and I think I'll do it. I'd like to stand on the floor and do it. Just a little easier for me. And I'm tall enough, I think. I want to ask everyone to stand, please. And so, you know, within the African context, we have such a dynamic and diverse voice across Africa. Oftentimes, people try to just channel us into one perspective. But the African voice is broad. The African voice has spanned centuries of development. Our societies, as Nkrumah pointed out to us, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, is as complex as anybody's society. It is not rudimentary. But when we do a libation and we utilize water, something that is universal across the world, something that is predominant in our bodies, is predominant on the earth, it brings us together. It gives us an opportunity. You know how we say we stand on our ancestors' shoulders?
Yes.
This, to me, a libation gives us an opportunity to flow with the ancestors. Not just stand on their shoulders, but to show the love, to show the respect, to pull the lessons from the ancestors that will help us better understand and navigate these complex times.
Yes.
All history is a current event, as said Dr. John Henry Clark. All history is a current event, meaning what we're experiencing is not new, was not unfamiliar to our ancestors. This vicious system of capitalism has been around at least 500 years and been doing the same pillaging and confusion causing that it does.
That's right.
But so have our ancestors been resisting and fighting for longer than that to build our society so that it supports the well-being of our people, and that it supports the well-being of the environment. How silly can you be to destroy the environment that you stand in? So with this, we want to offer libation, and we're going to utilize water. We're going to let this plant symbolize the earth, and with that, we're going to call on our ancestors to join us here today. Now, whether they join you in your heart, in your mind, or in the seat next to you, that's on you. That's on your philosophical outlook. That's on your impression. For me, they remain in my heart. They remain in my mind. They help me get up in the morning and say, this is tough. But it's tougher on the Palestinian people right now. It's tougher on the people in the Sudan and the Congo right now than in this environment that we find ourselves. But we want to connect with them. And because we're on indigenous people's land, you know, recently, our brother Fred Short of the American Indian Movement, one of the elders within the indigenous people, made this transition. So we want to say, and when we pour, we want to say Ashe.
Yes.
Ashe. Ashe. To our brother Fred Short, the indigenous brother who guided us at all the unthanksgivings that we participated in at Alcatraz. Not only was he a spiritual leader, he was a security for Leonard Peltier and for Dennis Banks.
Yes.
You know, we wear multiple hats. Our spirituality is in our activism. It's in what we do, right? We know that within the context right now in Guinea-Bissau, in West Africa, where our comrades of the PAIGC, the African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde,
Yes.
we know that they are being brutalized.
Yes.
And some of our young comrades have recently lost their lives in the face of the imperialist effort to try and continue to dominate. So we want to pour a libation for our comrades of the PAIDC, and we want to say Ashe, so that they know and that they know that they're welcome in this house with us. Throughout Africa's history, we've had warriors stand up. And you know, the atrocity of not including sisters is always one that we have to unfold. Because we know, and we want to hear a big Ashe for Yah. We want to hear a big Ashe for Nzinga. Women in Angola who fought the Portuguese. We want to hear a big Ashe for Carmen and Balia Camara. We want to hear a big Ashe for Tatina Silla from Guinea-Bissau, who fought against the Portuguese and was brutally murdered. She was a combatant. Our sisters fight. Don't get it confused. And it's our brothers from Eritrea today who our guests will help us better learn. They continue to fight, right? And on this hemisphere, we know that the struggles would not be where they are if there were not for us. I mean, I say Harriet Tubman, Ashe. I don't say her as just a piece of revenue. I say her because that's our auntie.
Yes.
That's our grandma. That's a warrior.
Yes.
Okay, so put it on your lips. Just be proud to say it, right? Sojourner Truth.
Yes.
Put it on your lips. Be proud to say it. And of course, many our people have always struggled. We don't want to leave, especially a Pan-African event, without raising the spirit of Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Ashe.
Marcus Garvey, who organized 6 million African people. One organization, Universal Negro Improvement Association, 6 million. That's a lot of Africans, right? And we're going to continue to organize because Baba Marcus Garvey gave us a pattern.
That's it.
Gave us a model to follow. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Ashe. You know, Nkrumah strategized, understood, organized, fought, wrote, educated, battled, trained militants. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of the All-African People's Revolutionary Party and a dynamic leader. And as we stand in the face of Brother Malcolm X, Ashe, Omar Wiley, and Hajj El Shabazz, that brother and all of us who've been celebrating and commemorating him for the last 2 weeks know for sure that his spirit walks with us, guides us.
All day, every day.
And so, just as we've given an overview of some of the struggle and some of the ancestors, we know that each of us in our families, in our lives, have particular ancestors who have uplifted us and who have brought us forward. And we don't want to leave without saying Brother Kwame Ture. And although I include him as my family,
Yes.
he's all our family.
That's right.
And in closing, we want all of you an opportunity to shout out the name of somebody in your family who's uplifted you. Just shout them out. And with that, we close with 3 Ashes. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
On the ancestors. Next, we'll have presentations from various orgs the party is associated with, works together with, starting with Palestinian Youth Movement. We can have Farah come up. And just as a reminder to speakers, we do have 5 minutes, so if you can, do your best. Check that out. Time constraint if you can. 5 minutes, we have.
Thank you guys for inviting me to speak. I'm so excited and honored to be here with you guys today. So let's give a round of applause for that. My name is Farah. I'm an organizer with the Palestinian Youth Movement of the Bay Area chapter here. Again, I'm super honored to be invited to speak and be here with all of you today and celebrate African Liberation Day, to pay tribute to African revolutionaries and African unity, to anti-imperialism, revolutionaries of international solidarity. The Palestinian Youth Movement, if you didn't know, we are a grassroots organization of Palestinian and Arab youth in the diaspora, and we organize for the national liberation of our homeland, Palestine. And we stand in joint struggle with all communities struggling for liberation. Unity among the occupied peoples of the world is vital for our collective liberation, our collective struggle against capitalism, imperialism, occupation, and we foresee a liberated future for us all. From Azania to Palestine, the people's struggle will never stand for apartheid anywhere. We look to the Free South Africa movement in their organizing internationally to end occupation. We learn from the organizers in the movement to inform our own struggle against the Zionist settler colony. It was here in the Bay Area that the Free South Africa organizers, including students and community, organized for Azania. It was here in Oakland that the Longshoremen's Union refused to deal with cargo heading to Azania, to the colony. Joining the people's struggle demanded the Port of Oakland enact an embargo against occupation. The Oakland People's Arms Embargo is a campaign initiated by Palestinian and Arab diaspora, such as the Palestinian Youth Movement, Arab Resource and Organizing Center, and the U.S. Palestinian Community Network. And we've joined organizations and unions, migrant sectors in Oakland overall, to build from the work of anti-apartheid South Africa to call for an arms embargo of the Zionist entity. And we published research that revealed the Oakland airport is currently the second largest shipping site of weapons components to the Zionist entity. Military cargo is being shipped from our civilian airport right to the Nebatin Air Base in the Zionist entity, directly enabling the genocide in Gaza and the war on Iran and our region. What the port needs to know is that the people of Oakland refuse to stand for apartheid and occupation. Come on! The Oakland People's Arms Embargo campaign calls for every one of us to uphold Oakland's organizing legacy and refuse the continued use of our port to commit atrocities in Palestine, in the Middle East, anywhere else in the world. There are so many ways to get involved. If this interests you, you can go on armsembargonow.com. That's right. Now, thank you. I want to ask, is everybody aware of the imperial boomerang? Okay. The imperial boomerang is the development and enforcement of violence in colonized lands and the global south, and then informs violence here in the imperial court. The United States tests what they can to continue doing oppressing Black communities, indigenous communities, and people of color by testing their weapons and tactics on Palestinian people. Come on. Speak on it. This gets me very emotional because we see these technologies with our own eyes in our homelands, and then we see them come back here. The United States tests what they can, testing their weapons and their tactics through their war dog and the so-called there are multiple police departments across the nation who practice with the Israeli occupation forces, and they learn their tactics of violence and death together to use on Palestinian and Black people in Palestine and in the United States. This is the same team of criminals coming into our communities, watching us, stealing our resources, killing us, systemically leaving us out of their privilege, privileges, dehumanizing us, and then blaming us for their cruelty. We must stand together in unity. Thank you so much. We must stand together in unity and join struggle for our collective liberation and to be free from our shared oppression. Woo! We honor and celebrate the ways in which the international African community has stood in solidarity with Palestine and the legacy of our joint struggles across history.
Yes.
Long live international solidarity!
Yes.
Africa and Palestine, imperialism is a crime. No boots on the ground anywhere.
Nowhere.
Thank you guys so much.
Again for that powerful presentation. Next, we'll have Jeremy Miller with the Black Alliance for Peace organization.
All right, Jeremy.
Josh, speak. Y'all
Josh,
speak to the top.
Hello, my name is Joshua Mitchell. I'm a member of the Black Alliance for Peace. So Black Alliance for Peace was founded in 2017 to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's Beyond Vietnam speech. So in that speech, Martin Luther King described how the U.S. would never be willing to invest the funds necessary
Yes.
to eliminate poverty, hunger, oppression in the black community,
Yes.
while they were spending inordinate amounts of funds to oppress the Vietnamese. And this is still quite relevant today. We heard a great description of the genocide in Palestine. There's military aggression towards Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, Sahel states.
Yep. Yes.
And the military budget is now 1.5 trillion. So where's the money going to come from to fix our situation in this country? Also in that speech, Dr. King described the three triplets, giant triplets, of racism, extreme aggression,
Yes.
and extreme militarism, aka capitalism. And to honor this and continue Martin Luther King Jr.'s struggle in this modern age, unfortunately, it was a battle that wasn't won. The Black Alliance for Peace has several slogans that we would like to continue in this 9th anniversary. The first is U.S. and NATO out of Africa.
Yes.
The second is U.S. and NATO out of the Americas. And the third is move the gates. And specifically for this third one, we will be protesting the first World Cup game held in the Bay Area on June 13th. So if you'd like to participate, please let us know. And fittingly enough, the first game is between Qatar and Switzerland. Paragons of imperialism. One for its international finance, and the second for its use of slave labor and its contribution to the genocide in Palestine. So please come out and support us on June 13th. Thank you.
Where is that?
Levi Stadium.
Thank you to the Black Alliance for Peace. Next, we'll have the Hate Action Committee with Pierre Lavassiere.
Let's go.
Good afternoon, sisters and brothers. Always excited to be here on African Liberation Day. It really makes me feel something. I know the theme is about solidarity with people in struggle everywhere. And this is a powerful thing because this is what's going to get us out of where we are. And I want to bring up the name of John George, Well, many of you didn't know John George was the first black elected supervisor for Alameda County. And John George used to say he was very active in the struggle to free Southern Africa. And he was arrested many times. And John George used to say, think globally, act locally. So I represent Haiti Action Committee, an organization that we founded about in 1992, when President Aristide visited the Bay Area. And it was formed in collaboration with many progressive organizations with their representatives. And we've been in solidarity with the people of Haiti, but the struggle is everywhere. We are in solidarity with the people of Haiti, but our roots are right here in the Bay Area, in Oakland, so we are part of the struggle right here in Oakland as well. For the freedom of political prisoners in the US, political prisoners in Haiti, South Africa, everywhere. We are part of the struggle for justice, locally, anti-racism, anti-colonialism, anti-imperialism. I want to bring up on this issue of solidarity. Haiti is not very well known. May 18th that just passed marked, I think, the 223rd anniversary of the creation of the Haitian flag. Now, it wasn't just a flag, okay? It was a congress of many of our people, the Maroons, many of our people who took to the hills to fight the French and demand to free the land. Some people wanted to remain a colony of France. But others said, to hell with France, to quote Brother Malcolm X, we want some land, not some friends. And it's by no accident that his birthday, Brother Malcolm's birthday, is on May 19th. So those two dates for me mean a lot. So Haiti became independent after defeating the French, the Spanish, and the British armies. I'm not talking a little squadron with some French soldiers. I'm talking armies, with some of their best generals. Haiti is the land where the brother-in-law of Napoleon died. So I'm saying this to say that when Haiti took its independence, declared its independence officially, it named itself in Haiti's first constitution a black country. It said it. We are talking 1804. It says Haiti is a black country. And regardless of the shade of your skin, the skin tone, if you're Haitian, you're black. That is set. That's how it declared. Haiti declared itself a sanctuary nation, calling on all oppressed people, particularly enslaved Africans from wherever, and people of indigenous origin to come to Haiti, and they would become automatic Haitian citizens, and Haiti would go to war to protect their freedom. And many came, many made their way. So I'm raising this because it's not raised usually. How many movies you see in Hollywood that talk about the revolution, Haitian revolution? But some, they talk about the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, the American Revolution. You see so many of them. But never in, and I want to praise here for our dear friend Danny Glover, who still having a terrible time to try to put together a movie on the Haitian Revolution. The brother would not want to refuse to compromise because he could have put some silly story out there with some white leading person instead of the African Haitians doing their own thing. And Haiti declared that independence, connected it, and I want to bring up the issue of solidarity. Brother Dessalines, the leader who led us to independence, he put an ad in several ads in the press asking captains of ships bringing enslaved Africans, he would pay them money to bring those ships to Haiti so the Africans could be free. And many of them, you can look it up. I'm not making it up, it's the truth. And many did come there. The appeal was an appeal for family reunification, just like we are united today, to plan the next phase of our liberation struggle, right in the Bay Area, but throughout the world. And we looked at it because when they kidnapped us, and I'm sorry if I'm going over time, please check with me and let me know that I'm going over time. But the thing is that Brother Dessalines and all the sisters and brothers, they looked at Africans kidnapped and enslaved as being the family because they kidnapped brothers, sisters, they separated us into the different lands, and so nobody knew, so it was family reunification. So it was very important. Haiti stood for the struggle, supported Simon Bolivar, supported a number of liberation struggles. Today, in Haiti, what we have is a recolonization of Haiti. It goes beyond neo-colonialism. We are talking about the US and Eric Prince, who's a friend of Donald Trump, who has said publicly that colonization was a good thing and it needs to happen again. We have some house Negroes who the US put in power in Haiti, and they are the ones who signed the contract having this man bring his mercenary army, and what they are doing is making life and killing a lot of the people in Haiti. Right now, just between the May 6th and May 16th, close to 400 Haitians were killed, supposedly in police operations, their homes destroyed, and these are very poor people. They are farmers, their gardens are being just burned down, their rice fields and everything. Pretty much colonialism, the way they colonize Africa. This is a war of colonialism against the people of Haiti. But our people are not taking it down, our people are resisting, they are fighting, and we call upon our family here and our family worldwide, our global family, for solidarity with the struggle inside Haiti. Same way that we support the people of the Sahel, the countries that are fighting to defend their rights. So much to say that I just have to say that my heart is full of pride and joy and love, seeing all of you being together with you, and together we will be moving forward for liberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. We do just want to remind everyone, do your best ability to stick to the 5 minutes. We do have a program we're trying to stick to. We do have the time to have to get out of here, so let's say what you need to say. Next up, we have La Raza Unidad of Libertad.
Buenas tardes, folks. My name is Libertad Ayala, and I actually come representing Unión del Barrio, an organization also dedicated, very similar sibling organization of La Raza Unida, who has our ties and our roots together, along with the All African People's Revolutionary Party. So again, I come in here in solidarity. I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege. I am going to have to excuse myself in a little bit. I had double booked myself and have my family waiting on me, and I said, hold your plans for an hour. So, but they know that that's not what it means. But I want to take a moment of personal privilege here and, say that solidarity is not just solidarity of the organizations, it's solidarity of our movements, it's solidarity of our personhood, it's solidarity of our womanhood, it's solidarity of our motherhood, it's solidarity of our lineage. And I want to take a moment, and I insisted on bringing my two nieces along because I wanted to demonstrate to them that we have within us, within the women here in this room, the genetic code for our liberation. That roadmap has already been written within us. And we are not only vessels to nourish bodies both physically and spiritually. We are not only vessels to guide, rear, and raise children, but we are also vessels that should lead movements. We are the leaders of movements, not only because we have the power to make life or create life, but we have the power because our history has been written within us. When we're seeing the slave catchers, modern day slave catchers today, in our DNA, we have written what is needed to protect our people, to keep our people safe, to keep our children safe. And again, I insist that it's not only solidarity, but that we're accomplices to one another. We're accomplices in struggle, we're accomplices in fights, and the more and more that we are told that we are different and that our experience is different, as true as that may be, that does not make our movements different within the confines of capitalism and imperialism. Within the confines of this country, within the confines of colonialism in any part of the world, we are accomplices to each other. And the more that we deny each other that, the more that we do not see our true selves and our humanity within ourselves, we will continue to fall prey to those roadblocks, to those obstacles, to those divisions that keep us from building our movements together because some of us want to be comfortable. Because some of us want to be comfortable. And it's hard. Siblings, especially in Southern California, have been hit tremendously hard with trying to maintain our communities safe. And that's just not brown communities, that's just not undocumented communities, it's everyone safe. Because if we maintain our communities safe, we all thrive. We all thrive. The police isn't just trying to catch one person, they're trying to catch us all. They're trying to catch us all. As long as we continue to challenge them, we are a threat to them. We are a threat to them because of our personhood. We are a threat to them because of our nationhood. We are a threat to them because we have the code to dismantle them. Yes. But we have to decide that comfort is not our bottom line. That comfort is not our bottom line, and as uncomfortable as it makes us, we have to bring each other along. And so with that, I thank you. I thank the opportunity to bring my nieces here so that they recognize that womanhood, that sisterhood, that motherhood, that tiahood is not just the joy that you bring to them when you're outside, but the knowledge that I'm nourishing with them in their brain and in their heart. So thank you.
The Union del Barrio. Thank you again. Do we have anyone from the Eritrean Community Center?
Uhuru. Uhuru Sasa. For the younger ones who may not know in what language I'm speaking, Uhuru is in the African language of Kiswahili. It means freedom. Uhuru means freedom. Sasa means now. So freedom now. On this African Liberation Day, I'm very pleased and honored to be amongst my brothers and sisters of the African peoples here in the colonial state of America. Belly of the beast, imperialism. As it happens, as we celebrate African Liberation Day, my brother said this is the 63rd anniversary of African Liberation Day, right? And we, coincidentally, by serendipity or divine coincidence, Eritrea's liberation also happens to be tomorrow, May 24th. How many of you know what Eritrea is? Raise of hands, okay. Eritrea is in that part of Africa that's called the Horn of Africa. It looks like a horn in the eastern part of Africa, astride the Red Sea, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, where the conflict is now raging. So the struggle of Eritrea, the 35 years of post-independence, is really a struggle of the whole African continent against neocolonialism. A brother mentioned earlier the great teacher, Kwame Nkrumah,
Yes.
who wrote that classical book in 1965, Neocolonialism. Unfortunately, that book led to his overthrow in 1966, right? You all know, of course, the AAPRP, the All African People's Revolutionary Party, one of its great founders, the late Kwame Ture, formerly Stokely Carmichael.
Yes.
Why did he change his name from Stokely Carmichael?
Slavery.
The name of slave. Yeah, just like Malcolm X before him changed his name from Malcolm X to Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, right? So the great revolutionary, Pan-African revolutionary, our brother, our martyr brother, Stokely Carmichael also was here in the SNCC, Students' Non-Violent Committee, and then the Black Panther Party. But then he went to Africa, to Guinea-Bissau. And there he met the two great Pan-African leaders. Kwame Nkrumah by that time was overthrown and he was living in Conakry, Guinea-Conakry, and Sékou Touré. So a combination of the two names, from Kwame Nkrumah, he took the first name Kwame, and from Sékou Touré of Guinea, he took that last name Touré. So a beautiful name, Kwame Touré, a great leader. I was honored to have met him in the 1980s when I was much younger than I am now. in my early 20s, in the Washington, D.C. area, as an activist of the EPLF, the Eritrean People's Liberation Front. Delivering solidarity message to a crowd like this, and he was there. And we talked. He was one of the few progressive Black American leaders here who understood the Eritrean struggle, and he supported it. And the AAPRP also supported our struggle. So solidarity to the great, Kwame Ture. He lived to see, of course, the liberation of Eritrea in 1991, May 24, 1991. He passed away, if I'm not mistaken, around 1997? 98. My bad. I wish we had the honor of him visiting liberated Eritrea, but it was not to be. We remember him fondly, and his revolutionary ideals live today with us. And here I am to testify to you that we in Eritrea have not betrayed our principles in struggle. The past 35 years of post-independence, we have challenged neocolonialism, we have challenged imperialism. We rejected AFRICOM, the Africa Command, the only country in Africa now. Namely, of course, the alliance of Sahel states in West Africa, in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Niger, are also following the progressive path. Eritrea stands firm on its principles of self-reliance, true independence and true sovereignty, rejecting neocolonialism, rejecting all kinds of foreign aids, all kinds of machinations. And that's why Eritrea is one of the most demonized countries in Africa. We stand in solidarity with you on this African Liberation Day. We are very happy to be with you to celebrate African Liberation Day. The world now is in a critical transition. The old order is dying. It is not dying peacefully, of course. Imperialism will not die peacefully. There will be in this critical transition, a period of wars everywhere, chaos and wars all over the world, as we are currently witnessing in the Persian Gulf. The war on Iran is part of that. But we are sure that in Africa, a new dawn is emerging.
That's right.
The end of globalization is not far. Everywhere in the African continent, wherever the African peoples live in the diaspora, the struggle is intensifying. We must rededicate ourselves to intensify our organization, to intensify resistance and struggle, and to commit ourselves to a new dawn for Africa, where neocolonialism will be finally over, the 5 centuries of humiliation of Africa. Our Chinese brothers have a saying that they struggled against 1 century of humiliation, right? Which ended in 1949, with the victory of the Communist Party of China under the leadership of Mao Zedong. We all know that. The Chinese said by 1949, no more century of humiliation. We, the African peoples, likewise, must say no more the 5 centuries of humiliation of Africa. The end of neocolonialism, and we stand steadfast in Eritrea. Our liberation is the liberation of the whole of Africa. And I conclude with the Eritrean slogan that we say, Awad Nahafash. Awad means victory, Nahafash means to the masses. Repeat after me. Awad Nahafash. Awad Nahafash. Victory to the African people. Hey, African liberation day. I must not forget before I conclude, as a postscript, that we also stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people. The genocide, all the Palestinian people must end. The end of Zionism is also not far off.
And lastly, we have friends of the condo.
To the soil that produced Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, Angela Davis, Kathleen Cleaver, the lineage that taught a generation of Black radicals what Frantz Fanon meant when he said that the wretched of the earth would have to lead their own liberation. My name is Gaetan Lufanzo. I am one of the coordinators of Friends of the Congo. And I also host Friends of the Congo's weekly series called Congo Unfiltered. I bring to you a message tonight or today, depending on what time you will be watching this, as a son of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, a country where I lived and breathed for 19 years to pure rhythm of Africa. A country the Panthers in this very city 60 years ago understood was at the center of the global fight against imperialism. The struggle in Congo is at a moment of acute crisis. So let me tell you where we are. In January of this year, the M23, a militia armed, funded, and led by the Rwandan government, took the city of Goma in eastern Congo. 3 weeks later, they took Bukavu. And together, those 2 cities have a population of 4 million people, nearly 4 million people. And they are all now under the control of a foreign army operating through a proxy. This is the most basic definition of occupation. And it is happening right now in Congo. With the most advanced governments on this earth, the United States, the United Kingdom, and even the government of Israel continuing to send aid, weapons, and political cover to the regime in Kigali, the same regime that is responsible for the occupation, for the killing of Congolese people, for the displacement of 7 million people. To the north of that occupation is in the North Kivu and Ituri province, an alleged, and I say alleged because I really want to be careful, because the UN found no evidence of that, but that's the narrative that Washington is putting out there, that the United States is putting out there. But I'm going to say it, an alleged Islamic State, ISIS, affiliate called the Allied Democratic Forces, ADF, that has killed more than 1,000 Congolese civilians in 2025 alone. Schools and hospitals destroyed. Children abducted into the bush. Women and girls held for years and forced to bear children for the captors. Amnesty International called it for war crimes and crimes against humanity. And the world calls it nothing. In April, the Trump administration signed what is being called the Washington Accord. It was actually in June, not the end, but it was actually in June. In June 27th, they signed, it was first in June and then in December 4th, they signed an agreement, Washington Accord, an agreement handing essentially Congolese cobalt, lithium, and coltan to the United States. The same minerals that power the phones in your pockets and the electric vehicle that are supposed to save the climate. 5.4 million Congolese have been killed in the wars that have essentially ravaged my country since 1996. The minerals deal does not even acknowledge that they died. But there is something else happening that I want you to know about, because the Black radical tradition in Oakland, the tradition that gave us Fanon and Cabral, that gave us Free Huey campaign, that gave us the 10-point program, that tradition taught us that solidarity is not a sentiment. Solidarity is a strategy. And it is moving the needle on the Congo question right now. Young Congolese in the diaspora have stormed the gates of Roland Garros to protest to visit Rwanda's sponsorship of Paris Saint-Germain. They have unfurled the Congolese flag inside Allianz Arena in Munich, Germany. They are forcing the global football economy to answer for whose money it is taking and whose blood is on it. Activists in the country, in the United States, have organized congressional pressure that produced the first U.S. sanction on Rwanda officials in decades. President of Congo has organized Congo Lobby Day in Washington. The cobalt supply chain, like Apple, Tesla, major tech companies, is being held to a public accounting that literally did not exist 5 years ago. And that narrative monopoly that Western media has over the Congo question for 30 years is breaking, and it is breaking because of you, because of the diaspora, because of the Pan-Africanist work being done in every place where someone has decided that the silence about Congo is unacceptable. And this is the thing I want Oakland to hear most clearly. The fight in Congo is not Congo's problem. It is an imperialism problem. Berlin in 1885 carved up a country up for European capital. Leopold's Congo Free States killed 10 million of our people for robbery. The CIA murdered Patrice Lumumba in 1961, essentially because he refused to be a puppet of the United States. Mobutu was kept in power for 32 years because Washington needed an anti-communist ally with Angola being communist, Congo Brazzaville being communist. And the cost was the destruction of Congolese society. Today, the same logic continues. Yesterday it was rubber, then it was copper. Now it is cobalt and lithium for the electric vehicles and coltan, the smartphones. The Congolese people are caught between actors who have decided that the suffering is useful. Useful to Kinshasa, useful to Kigali, useful to Kampala, useful to Washington, useful to Beijing, useful to private capital, which essentially sees in Congo's instability not a tragedy to be solved, but an opportunity to be exploited. And that is what imperialism looks like in 2026. And the fight against it in Oakland, against gentrification, against police violence, against a carceral state, is the same fight as ours. Different geography, but same logic, same enemy. So here's what I ask you tonight, today. Stay with us. Read about Congo. Organize about Congo. Come to Congo Week this October. Pressure your representatives. Boycott the corporations that profit from our blood. Make the Congo question impossible to ignore. On your campus, in your union, in your church, in every space where you have a voice. Make Congo impossible to ignore. The Congolese people have not given up. We are still here. We are still organizing. We are still fighting. And because of you, we know that we are not alone. So, I say, long live Congo. Long live Africa. And long live the revolution.
Keep the applause going for all the awards that came today. We're going to try to have a Q&A. If anyone had any questions for any of the organizations. If not, we can keep moving. If you have any questions, if you have a question for an organization?
Yeah, well, I guess anyone from any organization, we're talking about solidarity, getting together to work across our different struggles. We're all here today. When can we see these organizations together next?
Would any organization like to answer? I think some organizations spoke to the next time you can inform yourself on their movements if you check out their website. If there's any organization I'd like to come up and speak to that question, Akundu?
I wasn't going to necessarily direct you to that question, but one of the things we're doing at African Liberation Day are giving some updates and some highlights. It's really the agenda that we need to follow throughout the year. For us, African Liberation Day is not an event. It's a process. It's an ongoing process. So what we like to do at this point is to recognize that throughout the year, we need to focus on Haiti and do a teach-in where we roll up our sleeves. We need to focus on Eritrea. We need to focus on the Alliance of Sahel States. So this is our plan, and as long as you sign our list, we'll keep you informed as to how we do.
That's good.
Thank you for that. Does anyone have any other questions for any other organizations? Yes, sir.
We just found out now, many years ago, when we was organizing, we used the watermelon as a symbol, the red, black, and green. You know, we heard on the grapevine, and that's something else we have in common with power.
Yes, yes.
We like watermelon with black seed.
Yes.
I can answer. So I would say to that, you can have to pay attention to when orgs are like posting things. For example, my org and the other orgs that we're working with for the Oakland People's Arms embargo, we had a mass meeting. I want to say it was a month ago by now, if not 2 months ago. It was a month ago. You were there. Okay, so then you also would attest to this. We separated folks into groups, students, unions, whatever it may be. And they went back into their sectors, we separated, discussed how they could be involved, and other people who weren't students or didn't have either anything in their parts of where they live, whether it's in Oakland or maybe they're in San Francisco, wherever it is, they were in their breakout groups deciding what to do, like, oh, we're gonna go do these flying over there. So you just have to pay attention to these kind of mass meetings or calls to action, and like you could literally plug yourself into these things. I hope that was a good. Or do you want to please speak?
Well, just as the board commission meets, and it is the board commissioners who have total domain over the management of the port, what goes in, what goes out, and it is they who have the authority to stop the transports. So we try to appeal to their better sides. We've already made contact with 3 of the commissioners who are trying to apply some gentle influence on the other commissioners, but they need our support also. So whenever there is a port commission meeting, that's when your presence is much needed.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. We are going to keep the program moving. Next, we have a edutainment portion from the poet Jay.
All right, Ashe. Thank you so very much for having me. My name is Jay Gale. I do not look like it, but I am a public historian and an independent researcher. And for the past 2 years, I have been researching the labor of black women and the exploitation of that labor, not only in Oakland, but also in Albany, New York, and connecting that work across the country through Black women's clubs. I've turned all of that work into an original audience participatory play that I am premiering on the 4th of July, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. I say all of that to say that part of this process and the art that I create is my action. This is my activism, right? So my poetry, the songs that I write, the musicals, the one-acts, all the things is part of my action. And I absolutely love my community and all of the communities that are my cousins to be a part of my actions. And so if what you hear interests you, please go to rethinklabor.org. rethinklabor.org, and that's where you'll find all the stuff that I do, what I'm up to, and how you can get involved. This piece is called Kwanzaa, Unsold, because Kwanzaa is not 7 principles that's just for the end of the year, it's for all year round.
Okay. Say who's there.
My wife and I were in the kitchen the other night, somewhere between the dawn and the conversation and the quiet. I told her, I'm writing a new poem about Kwanzaa, and she laughed. It wasn't a mean laugh, but she did laugh. She said, talk about a hoax. I mean, it feels like a ripoff. What's the Jewish one? She didn't stop there. My girl, she was on a roll now, unleashing a lifetime of opinions, expressions that were unexpressed because she was never asked or allowed.
Why are we reaching back to a continent that doesn't hold us, never molded us, never claimed to be our host? Why are we trying to reconnect with a ghost? She paused then, having a more specific thought, and then she said the thing that made the whole room stop. It wasn't sold to us properly. And my heart dissipated in grief because she was right. And there was no provision for my relief. Kwanzaa was never sold to us, not like the others, no. It wasn't announced at a Super Bowl halftime show. It didn't come with 0% APR, even if your credit is low. It wasn't wrapped in red sparkles, blinding us with bleeding green. Doesn't come from pub crawls, merchandise, and Santa's obscene. In this country, Christmas is a biannual event. The OG's in December and another in July. An increasing number of Prime Days, Black Fridays, and Cyber Mondays on which we can rely. A horrifying consumerism that demands we all comply. The connection to the divine is gone, which is ironic and also very American. America has 7 principles, 2 or sins, depending on the view. Sex, drugs, wealth, gold, God, glory, and above all else, self. Me, my comfort, my accumulation, my win, my wealth. American culture is the epitome of indulgence. It is the selfishness needed for capitalism to flourish. But our lineage runs deeper and it isn't up for sale. Before Coringa ever put the words on a page, before the candles were lit or the mats were laid, 7 truths were already running through our veins. Emoja is the unity that Harriet Tubman knew, walking back into the fire to pull the others through. Not safe until we all are. No soldier left alone. She found us in a bundle so we make it to the throne. Kuji Chagulia is the work of Dr. Alice Green performed. Self-determination through prison reform, defining who we are against and who a system that was built to lie, looking justice in the face and refusing to comply. Ujima is the work of Harriet Myers did share, collective responsibility on the Underground Railroad with care, opening the door so the weary could breathe, building freedom brick by brick, refusing to leave. Ujama is the wielding torch of Francis Albrier held, cooperative economics in the unions she compelled. More than just a paycheck, she built a shared demand, keeping wealth and power in the community's hands. Kaumba is the rhythm Ruth Beckford would teach, creativity extending past the dancer's reach, moving through the spirit, leaving fear behind, using art to free the body and unlock the mind. Nia is the chiseling of Edmonia Lewis's stone, a purpose carved in marble, standing on her own, turning raw rejection into statues of grace, ensuring history would never forget her face. Imani is the faith that Maya Angelou sung, the caged bird rising with the songs on her tongue, believing in a morning that dark cannot see, faith in the brilliance of you and of me. My wife was right. Kwanzaa wasn't sold to us because it was never up for sale. Kwanzaa is not a product on a shelf. We can't get it on Amazon, Target, or Etsy with help. 7 days to celebrate intergenerational health. Kwanzaa is a ritual that reminds us of ourselves. A tradition distinct to us based on our spiritual needs. Oh, children of the diaspora, born across this land, we are more than a $1.4 trillion market. We are the hand. We built the table, the house, and the walkways. There isn't a single thing in this nation that anyone can take away. This is the ritual of purification has begun. Devils have had their time in the sun. Melanin enchantments emerge from on the earth, tilled with magic, tears, blood, and rebirth. So let us light the candles for the names we know. Let us nurture the seeds so our harvests can grow. For the next 7 generations, let the story be told. Our spirit was gifted, it was never sold.
Thank you, Jeff, for reminding us to carry on our traditions. That's why we're here today, celebrating ALG. Moving forward with the program, we're going to have a special presentation from NIM, Burkina Faso. We do want to remind people the bathrooms are through these doorways if you need it. If you need to take a minute to get up and stretch your legs, please do. We have a special presentation coming.
Thank you. Revolutionary greetings, comrades. My name is Comrade Inem. Before I talk about myself and all that stuff, I just want to know, like, if y'all can identify these people, if you know who they are. I don't live in the U.S. I don't live in the States, so I don't really know, like, what y'all know. So I would love to know, like, is there anybody here that you recognize? Yeah. Okay, maybe somebody can help me out. You got a name of somebody out here? I'm trying. Okay. Assimi Goita. Okay. And then we got Abdurrahman Chani. So the 3 of them represent the Alliance of Sahel States. And for the past 5 years, I've had the enormous privilege of getting to live in Burkina Faso. And we're recently go back and forth between Burkina Faso and Niger. Let's go to the next slide. I'll just keep it moving. I'm going to try to go through this fast because I have a lot to say. And I know I don't got a lot of time. So before I get into what's going on, and I won't have too much time to go into all of this, I did want to give context and say that the Sahel has a very, very revolutionary history. This isn't, something that just started recently, but like all African people and all colonized and oppressed people, it's a part of the world with a long tradition of resistance. So unfortunately, I don't think I can go through all the history, but I just want to say the names of these freedom fighters. So we have Sarunia Mangu over here. She fought against French colonial forces in the 19th century. This is Tiamoko Garan Kouyaté, who is often considered Africa's first communist. He's from what is now Mali. We got Awa Keita and Modibo Keita, who were part of Mali's socialist revolution in the 60s. A lot of people don't know that Mali had a socialist revolution in the 60s, but it was serious. We have Djibo Bakary, who led a guerrilla struggle against neo-colonial forces in Niger. And of course, we got Thomas Sankara, who I imagine you might be more familiar with, but one of our great Pan-African leaders. Woo! And at the bottom, sorry, real quick, I put these 2 ancestors here next to the party logo of the Black Panther Party, Abdoulaye Mamani and Omar Blondin Diop, because they were actually working to form relationships with the Black Panther Party during their lifetime. So there's connections between the Sahel and the struggles that were waged out here. Okay. You can keep going now, thank you. I think we can just go past this, but you can see on the map, that's the Sahel. Again, we don't have a lot of time. So I want to talk about how the Alliance of Sahel States today represents one of Africa's liberated zones. I'm really short, thank you. Represents one of Africa's liberated zones. Kwame Nkrumah wrote this book, The Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare, and in this book he divides Africa into 3 categories. Zones under enemy-controlled zones or enemy-controlled territories, and unfortunately that represents the majority of the African continent to this day. So Nigeria, it's where my mom's family's from. Congo, we just heard from a comrade from Congo. Sudan, these are places where our people are really suffering on the continent. These are countries that represent, the extent of neo-colonialism. Then we have contested zones, and during Nkrumah's time, a contested zone was a place where Africans were picking up arms to fight for liberation. So places like Guinea-Bissau, the PIGC, Amilcar Cabral, Frelimo in Mozambique, Samora Machel, Josina Machel, these ancestors, the MPLA, Angola, these struggles were being waged. Those were contested zones. But then the 3rd category was the liberated zone. This is a part of Africa that has already, where the people have taken power already over the state, and they are now working to build their self-determination economically and politically. They're breaking the chains of this neo-colonial force that has, ravaged the continent for so long. And the Alliance of Sahel States, I will argue, is one of Africa's liberated zones. And I also want to add on this, the Nkrumah was very clear in the Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare that, the priority for Pan-Africanists is to defend our liberated zones. Like, we cannot lose the territories that we have gained. We cannot lose our liberated zones. So we have to be on the defense to protect them. You can keep going. So I want to talk about what the Alliance of Sahel States was like before it was the Alliance of Sahel States. Before Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and I apologize if I'm going quickly. I'm really trying, but I want to talk about what the state of imperialism was like before these countries became liberated zones, and this is very recent. So I'll start here. We have this image here that is brought to you by Niger. So unfortunately, Burkina Faso and Niger, according to the World Bank, I don't like them, but I'm going to just use their statistic real quick, 95% of the population of Burkina Faso and Niger does not have access to electricity. At the same time, Niger is one of the world's largest exporters of uranium, and 25% of that uranium was going to the European Union for their nuclear energy supply, which literally was used to light up not just 1 in 3 households in France, but the actual Eiffel Tower, the symbol of France. So, these people are living without electricity, and the actual symbol of France was using basically their energy supply to light it up. We have this representing the military occupation. I have to go into a little bit of history here. I know we're short on time, but a little bit of history here. In 2011, the United States, France, and NATO as a bloc invaded Libya, and that led to the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi. Now thank you. Back when I was out here and living in the snakes, I heard Gaddafi, and I was like, oh my God, this is a dictator, whatever. That is not how we see Gaddafi on the continent. I just want to clarify that. He's considered a great Pan-Africanist and a great liberator, very respected. So when Gaddafi was overthrown by these NATO forces, these rebel groups that were in Libya went into the government's weapon stash because the government's overthrown. Libya is, now in a state of chaos because of this intervention. They took the weapons from Libya, the slain government, and brought those into the Sahel. And since that time, the Sahel has been one of the most militarized regions in Africa. I'm really glad we had a comment from Eritrea to speak because the Horn of Africa also is one of the more militarized places that we see liberated zones and also these really contested zones, but it shares that with the Sahel. This deep military occupation and these attacks coming out of this invasion first of Libya. AFRICOM actually had one of its biggest military bases on the continent in Niger. So there's 2 main AFRICOM bases. There's all these other outposts, sometimes they want to just debate what's a base or not, but AFRICOM had 2 main bases. One of them is in Djibouti, Camp Lemonnier, that still exists. The other one was Air Base 201 in Agadez, Niger. It was the biggest construction project in the history of the U.S. Air Force, $100 million to build, about $200 million before it was shut down. And and the CIA also had bases all throughout Niger. And France was militarily occupying the Sahel through Opération Barkhane, that's the logo, and that was headquartered in Mali. Okay, I'm gonna just keep going, let's keep going. The next one, yeah. So one of the things I also really want to clarify, because when we learn about the Alliance of Sahel States, like in the media, we learn mostly about these military coups, like these soldiers, right, who came into power. Sometimes we forget this was actually a popular, grassroots-led struggle, and that produced these leaders first and foremost. So this is before the Alliance of Sahel States came to power. This image here is Bamako. There was a mass uprising, and this lasted about 2 years, where hundreds of thousands of people were coming out into the streets saying that they want the last president, Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, out, but especially they wanted the end of the French military occupation. So they poured out, in droves or whatever, they were out in the streets, and they had very clear demands. This flag here is the French flag, but with a skeleton. It says "Death to France," written on it. They were burning images of Emmanuel Macron, the president of France. They were burning the French flag, burning the U.S. flag. They were very clear. It was an anti-imperialist movement. They also, in this, I want to touch on it because it confuses people, but it's going to come up again. They actually were the ones who first asked to partner with Russia. And I know out here, if you say Russia, it's like Russia is the worst country on earth, Russia is terrible. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into a lot of the details about the Russia Alliance of Sahel States relationship, but actually Russia really helped these countries to break away from the NATO fold and actually is helping these countries to establish self-determination through technology transfers. And I just want to emphasize that was a people demand first. Let's go to the next slide. So we have Assimi Goïta, who was the first one who came to power in 2021. We can keep going. Ibrahim Traoré 2022. And we keep going. Abdullah Chani 2023. And I'll keep it moving. And I want to talk about now, like, what are some of the different highlights of what's developed between these different countries, like their strong points. So this represents Burkina Faso. Since President Ibrahim Traoré came to power, Burkina Faso has been engaged in a process of building up industrialization and also food sovereignty. Those are like the cornerstones of what they're calling the People's Progressive Revolution was the English translation of the revolutionary process in Burkina Faso. So we've seen, we have to understand, like, France told this region of Africa basically that, oh, you're an arid region, you're near the Sahara Desert, you can't grow anything, you'll be dependent forever. That was the narrative that people grew up with. That's what the colonizers taught people in this area. And for the first time ever, we're growing crops like pineapples that we didn't think we could grow. We just banned the import of rice. It's a staple. It's like, daily food. We're not importing it at all anymore. We're able to produce that in Burkina. This is representing some of the technology transfers that have been brought in, the industrialization. And this right here represents a group called the Citizens Night Watch. This is kind of like under Sankara, and also in Cuba, they have committees for the defense of the revolution that serve as the eyes and the ears of the process. So we have that in Burkina, and they call it the Citizens Night Watch. You can go to the next one. And then I want to talk about Niger as well. It's a country that I think is very underrated. So we talked about how Eritrea was the only country in Africa to not allow AFRICOM. There was only one, it was Eritrea. Niger is the very first country in Africa to have signed an agreement with AFRICOM and to have ripped up that agreement and declared all U.S. military presence illegal on its soil. Niger has also gone the furthest in terms of nationalizing its resources. So it's nationalized its entire uranium sector as well as its only gold mine. And that also represents the closing of the French embassy. Niger has no diplomatic relations with France. Okay, so I know I'm close. Let's go to the next one. Okay, but the Alliance of Sahel States is under attack, and I think that's really important for us to understand. When we talk about defending our liberated zones, defending them against what? So in 2023, this is Prime Minister Abdoulaye Maïga of Mali. He came out and said something that was shocking at the level of UN security, the UN General Assembly. He was the first African leader to proclaim publicly in the 21st century that France was arming and providing intelligence to terrorist organizations that it had previously claimed to fight against. And since that time, the Alliance of Sahel States has been unwavering in their position that France is supporting terrorist organizations in the Sahel. In addition to this, and I said the Russia piece might come up again, I think it's very important that we know another country has come forward and actually publicly itself admitted that it's backing terrorists, and that country is Ukraine. So two Ukrainian officials were bold enough to actually publicly declare that they are proudly supporting terrorist organizations in the Sahel. No shame. Next one. And so this is just to represent, there is a media war against the Alliance of Sahel States. If you look up the Alliance of Sahel States right now, all you hear about is terrorist attacks. One of the things that's happening also is if we understand that these are not just terrorists in a vague sense, but actually Western-backed paramilitaries, Western-backed death squads, like the so-called gangs of Haiti, like the rebel M23 in Congo. These are, Western-backed forces. If we understand that, then we understand that it's in the interest of these attacks right now to accelerate, because the narrative in the media is that these African countries cannot handle security and defense on their own, and things have gotten so much worse since France kicked them out, and look at how much better it was under occupation. That's really what the media is trying to push right now. And it is true that there have been more attacks. I can talk about all the zones that have been liberated, but I don't think I'll have time. But please know that there's a lot of media propaganda, questions around democracy. That's not even a question in the Sahel. Like, overwhelmingly, the people support President Traoré, President Chani, and President Goïta. Yes. And I'll just keep going. Okay, good. So I think I'm at time, which is good because I'm just wrapping up now. I just want to talk a little bit about the organization that I'm a part of. I am in the AAPRP and the AAWRU. I'm also a member of the Tumasakar Center, which is a Pan-African political education and ideological education center and Pan-African Lending Library, which is based in both Burkina Faso and in Niger. And so we just had African Liberation Day in Niger. We had like 400 students come out, and it was people are really on fire. Like, they're really excited to be defending and building this process. So we're getting a lot of support. We're getting a lot of people coming in. And yeah, I'll just go to the next one, the last one. If you want to learn more about our work, you can check us out on Instagram. These are some ways to support us. And we have some flyers there. I try to be quick, so.
We've got more time for Comrade Anil. Any lasting words? Oh, Q&A. Okay. Anyone have any questions for our comrade here?
I have a question. When did you move out of here? When did I move to Burkina Faso? I moved to Burkina Faso pretty much 5 years ago, actually, like May 2021, yeah. Yes?
Yeah, so obviously, thwarting the empire is a very difficult task. I would love to hear, and I know this is a very big question, what were some of the struggles or like pushback from the empire that Burkina Faso had to fight through and really just as a community stay steadfast together?
I mean, I think it's still ongoing. One of the biggest struggles in the Alliance of Sahel states that I don't think people realize is these are countries that are really fighting to just defend their territorial integrity. And so I think, one of the things that the media is doing right now is this whole thing where there's no elections with dictatorship. But I don't think people sometimes realize you can't really have an electoral process if your country is under attack by paramilitaries and there's like parts of your country that you can't even get into. It would be like if there was a civil war here and Florida was just not going to vote or something. Like that wouldn't happen. But there's that pressure, on the Alliance of Sahel states to operate that way. So they're trying to literally just defend like the basic integrity of these countries. That's the biggest one. There's other things too, like a lot of propaganda around democracy. The same thing they always do. Human rights abuses, quote unquote, freedom of speech, but that's not reflective of what's happening on the ground. It's what they do to Cuba, to Venezuela, etc.
Yeah, I was just curious, what do you think about China's presence in Africa?
China actually just worked to build West Africa's largest teaching hospital in Burkina Faso. Here's what I'll say about China. There's a lot of debate about China, whether or not China is helping Africa, hurting Africa. I think that China is willing to work with African countries in a way that respects their sovereignty. And sometimes China does look out for what is China's interest, which is fair, which every country does. It becomes then an obligation for African countries to defend the interests of their people.
That's right.
And so sometimes when we hear things about China and Africa, like, oh, China didn't, is intruding here, it's not a good deal. Those African leaders are not defending their people, essentially. Because to give you an example, the Alliance of Sahel states, like I said, just built West Africa's largest teaching hospital with China on the one hand, but China has made some mistakes, some faux pas, and they were kicked out to a certain extent, and had to come back. In Niger, for example, with better deals. And so, unlike the West, they won't overthrow you, they won't assassinate you. So, okay. Yes.
Yeah. What role did culture play in the advancement of the movement over there?
Oh, culture is everything. Culture is everything from art to the way we relate to one another, as human beings. So, it's all encompassing. In terms of some of those more expressive examples of culture, there's a lot I can talk about. There's a proliferation of music coming out of the Sahel supporting the process. That mural I showed with the people, I don't know if we can go back, maybe 2 slides, I think. Okay, this one here, this is that shows the US flag, the French flag, and the Ukrainian flag, and it's representing terrorism. That's a huge mural outside of the university in western Burkina Faso. So people are using art and culture to represent, what the struggle is. Okay. Okay, one more question. And I have to choose. I can't choose a comment.
Fantastic presentation. I've heard you before, either in Activist News Network or you were reporting from the Alliance of Sahel States. Three quick questions. One, talk, if you will, about the negative role of the regional organization called ECOWAS, how we tried to crush the Alliance of Sahel States, especially Nigeria. Secondly, the intervention of UAE extracting gold from that part of the world, just as it is doing in our part of the world in Eastern Africa and Sudan. Thirdly, in an Eritrea, what's happening in the Alliance of Sahel States in West Africa is musically our ears in Eritrea. Are they aware from your experience about the experience, the revolutionary struggle of Eritrea, in particular Burkina Faso? Ibrahim Traore is doing fantastic job, self-reliance, all the things that he's doing to follow on the path of Thomas Sankara.
These are really good questions. So ECOWAS, I'll start there. For a lot of people, it sounds like maybe counterintuitive, but we want to unify Africa, and this is a Pan-African confederation. They split from ECOWAS. But you have to understand, ECOWAS is really staunchly neo-colonial, to the extent that they threatened to invade Niger after the revolution to reinstore the reactionary leader. And so there's also, within the Alliance of Sahel States, a feeling of hurt that these countries have been attacked by these death squads, these Western-backed, terrorists for so long, and ECOWAS didn't react. And then once the revolution happens in Niger, now ECOWAS is like, we have an army ready. Where was the army the entire time that we were being attacked? That's the sentiment. And so, the Alliance of Sahel States has said, no, we're not going back to ECOWAS, but your countries are welcome to join the Alliance of Sahel States. So, the question of, what was the second one? Oh, UAE. So the role of the UAE isn't as clear in the Sahel as it is elsewhere, but I will say that there were reports of some stuff, particularly in Mali, where there were there were reports basically talking about some backdoor negotiations regarding terrorist organizations and the UAE. There was a kidnapping of an Emirati businessman who was also prince, I believe, by the terrorist organizations, and then they paid the terrorist organizations a lot of money. So it looks like there's some involvement, but it hasn't been clarified to the extent that it has in East Africa. And then I think we're still working to build more understanding around Eritrea. At the Thomas Sankara Center, we've been trying to really raise more awareness around it. A lot of it, the language barrier struggle, because we just have so little information about the Horn of Africa in general in French. Even East Africa, we don't have it a lot. And I know I'm out of time. I wanted to say one last thing. I just want to emphasize, President Traore has really, really made it clear that this is not just a struggle for Burkina Faso or the Sahel, it's a struggle for all African people. And, he has addressed that's in a speech to people from the diaspora, including people coming out of the United States here. So I just want to really emphasize that that's something that's really becoming more and more clear, every day on the ground in the Sahel.
Good evening, Comrade Anil. Have some solidarity statements for a couple of coalitions and organizations. First up, we have the AUF, the African United Front, to make a statement or speak to the organization.
Thank you, greetings. My name is Kwaku Sankara, and I am a representative of the AUF, the African United Front. I'm also a member of an organization working with his brother in media, Race for the Times, and Black Radio, BLAX Radio. We are recording this, and we'll be putting this online as well, and you should check us out. Make sure you. Let me read my statement. I'll be brief.
No problem.
Didn't know I was next. leadership, cadre, comrades of the All-African People's Revolutionary Party, on behalf of the African United Front, we extend our deepest revolutionary solidarity, respect, and commitment to the ongoing struggle to the total liberation and unification of African people worldwide. We recognize the historic and continued role of the AAPRP in advancing the vision of Pan-Africanism, scientific socialism, African self-determination, and international Black revolutionary struggle. Your organization has remained steadfast in carrying forward the teachings and legacy of Kwame Nkrumah, Sekou Touré, and the countless freedom fighters who have dedicated their lives to the liberation of Africa, African people throughout the diaspora. The United African Front stands firmly in line with this mission, the principles, and the objectives of the AAPRP. We understand that liberation of African people cannot come from assimilation into systems built on capitalism, colonialism, imperialism, and white supremacy. True liberation demands organized struggle, political education, economic self-determination, cultural unity, and revolutionary discipline among African people everywhere. As Black nationalists and Pan-Africanists, we affirm that Africa is one nation, and African people are one people, regardless of the borders imposed upon us through colonial conquest and exploitation. From Oakland to Accra, from Haiti to Sudan, from Brazil to Congo, our struggle is interconnected, and our destiny is shared. Today, we recommit ourselves to building stronger institutions among our people, defending African communities at home and abroad, uplifting revolutionary consciousness, and advancing the movement toward complete African liberation and sovereignty. We recognize that unity is not merely symbolic, it is a material necessity for survival, dignity, and victory. We honor the work and sacrifices of the AAPRP and all revolutionary organizations committed to the freedom of African people. The African United Front pledges to continue solidarity, cooperation, and collective struggle in pursuit of a liberated and united Africa under control of African people. Forward ever, backwards never.
Thank you again to the AUF. Do we have anyone from the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression here? If not, we just want to show solidarity to that organization and coalition. Oh.
Hi everyone, my name is Noah from the Oakland chapter of the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Oppression. You can call us the Oakland Alliance, it's a little easier. We are a volunteer organization that works with the families of victims of police crimes to pursue justice, as well as to pursue legal and political reforms at the local level. So one of the things that we've been successful in doing, we've recently pressed Attorney General Rob Bonta to sue LA Men's Central Jail to be shut down. It is the deadliest jail in the country, and someone dies there almost every week. We started this fight because we met Terry Lovett, who is a Black woman who lives in East Oakland, whose son, Jelani Lovett, was killed in LA Men's Central Jail. He was found beaten in his cell in solitary confinement, and the coroner in LA, who works as a subsidiary of the Sheriff's Department, declared it was an overdose. So we call bullshit on that, and we're going to prove it, which is why we are almost at our goal of raising money for an independent autopsy of Jelani Lovett so that we can get Terry's case back in the courts, pursue justice for her son, and put those killer deputies who did this to him in jail. So we really appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak with you today. It's important for all of us in the community, no matter who we are, to come together and support African liberation and the struggle of Black people. Just because I'm white doesn't mean that I am not, important as an ally in this struggle, and I'm here to be here with all of you. So, thanks.
Keep moving forward. We have another edutainment portion of the program. We have a spoken word from Epitome.
How y'all doing?
All right.
I don't know if y'all keep up with social events. Anglo-Saxons have been walking around antagonizing black people with a gun and waiting for him to respond as soon as he says something back. I mean, they're calling him, he's calling him an N-word, and yeah, and he ended up in jail. So this kind of reflects, you know what I mean, what we feel about the N-word, okay? Okay. You can call me the most hated word in creation, the most disrespectful word in the English language. It used to end with the ER, but they had to change it, so we took the definition to rebrand it, because if you add the ER, you might end up in the ER, so we added an A. I hope that it would take the pain away. I hope that the first letter of the alphabet will make them give us respect, but the word remains in America's mind like a permanent stain. Now, how many times they try to whitewash it, it stays intact. So they anticipate your anger, seeing how you're going to react. The cold stare, the tight lipped smile speaks volumes. So they act like the word is part of an exclusive club that they can't wait to be a member of, but ain't paying no dues. So they act like they're entitled to say the word because they wear the clothes and the shoes. So they get them a few black friends and use them as an excuse. But if you're truly an ally, you had no desire to use that same word that they used while they set us on fire. To use that same word that they called us while being hung from trees. To use that same word that they called us while getting beat on our knees. To use that same word that they called us while feeding alligators our babies. To use that same word that they called us while raping our ladies. You must be crazy. You don't deserve to say shit. And don't be surprised if you say it, you get hit. You can't just take off my skin and put it on like a new outfit that you put on and take off as you see fit. You see our struggle. You see our plight. You love our culture, but ignore our fight. So I ask, wait, hold on. Hold on. So our fight. So I asked, wow, oh my God. Oh my God. You see our struggle, you see our plight. You love our culture, but ignore our fight for the rights we have to give up a life. So I asked, are you willing to die to say nigga? Are you willing to be one where our cops' hands is on the trigger? Can you handle the stress that comes with? Like being in front of a judge when it's time for judgment? Oh, I know, you just want to be one for entertainment. The sports, music, and dancing, what you find so captivating. Trying what you find so fascinating. The strength of the downtrodden, the forgotten, is used and abused. Don't get confused. This is the same word you use. We don't give up about how many times you had you some black. We'll give up about if you had you some black kids. And some brothers and sisters that will punch you right in your if you let that word come out of your lips. We are not your niggas, and we refuse to be. So if you want to call me something, how about king or queen? But if you call me a nigga, you just might bring a nigga out of me. All right, I was featured in a music video on BET called Be the Winners Revolution. And I'm at the end of the video doing this piece right here. Yes. I started to use my faith in humanity due to all this insanity. And I do anything to protect my family. By any means seems to be the only model. I wondered if I started a revolution, I wonder who would follow. There'll be another black man cooked on the news by tomorrow, another march, another protest, and broken windows with a false sense of accomplishment. But honestly, I ask myself, are we really making any progression? Constantly yelling no justice, no peace every time we killed by the police, but we quick to kill each other with no questions asked. We watch the police kill another and another, and all you see is cameras flash. And an officer of neighborhood patrol has the right to take a black man's soul and bring up his past as an excuse. Why he gets a slap on the wrist and told not to do it again. Now he's revered and gained notoriety amongst other racist white men, and the cycle starts again. See, the problem is we're so caught up in our own lives, we forget about our kin. And we wonder why we keep getting judged by our skin. If we don't respect ourselves, then how can we blame them? We're products of media manipulation designed to kill each other with no hesitation. And that type of shit is going on all over this nation. Just pay attention to your timeline. You'll see day after day that the minority's life is being taken away, and they automatically believe what the officers say, even when a video showing you the play-by-play. Covering up the truth until they get away. We're supposed to accept that's how it is. What kind of message is that telling our kids? Either you adapt or fall into the trap or your life will be taken away. Yo, my ancestors' blood spilled just for the freedoms they keep trying to take away. They asked me why I'm so pro-black. I said, because I'm reminded of it every day. Especially when I look in the mirror. I'm not shedding no struggle and pain. Made me strong, built to endure. Any obstacle before me is just another door. Protecting my kingdom, listen to me roar. One in the chamber till more in the drawer. Ready to protect my castle by any means necessary.
stupidity. Next up, we have another special presentation from the All African Women's Revolutionaries Union from Dr. Shakura Umi.
Tomorrow for our webinar broadcast. I also want to remind you all that the takeaway of the All African People's Revolutionary Party is to join some organization. So even if you don't agree with our political, we are up here working, let's go. Even if you don't agree with our ideology, your task today is to join some organization that is working for justice. If you see fit, if you want to see change, be the change, okay? All right, awesome, okay. So as our beautiful MC said, my name is Dr. Shakura Umi. I'm so happy to represent the All African Women's Revolutionary Union. Let's go! All right, okay, so we gotta start the conversation, right? Just a warning, I'm gonna talk about some things that are gonna make you uncomfortable, okay? So let's get ready for that right now, okay? Let's do it. All right, yes! Love that, okay. So, we need to talk about patriarchy, okay? We need to talk about the fact that patriarchy is a system that unfairly disadvantages non-male people, people who identify as being women identifying, marginalized genders, whatever that looks like. And that's important for all of us to know, because if we're talking about having Africa be free, and we're talking about a one unified socialist Africa, you can't do that if you still have systemic oppression rearing its head, especially patriarchy, because last time I checked, the All African People's Revolutionary Party wants one unified socialist Africa, which means we acknowledge that patriarchy has got to go, just like hands off all the other countries that we spoke about, it's got to go. It cannot be tolerated, we cannot accept it, we cannot let it roll in to our new one unified socialist Africa, okay? That is the belief of the party, and we are here to say that we protect it, and we understand that we all play a role in that. Me, as a woman, all right, yes, thank you, yes. Me, as a woman identifying person, I perpetuate patriarchy. I am also disadvantaged by patriarchy. You all, as a system, are built in to perpetuate patriarchy, even if you don't know. So it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you don't know. What's your fault is if you choose not to do anything about it, okay? I had the same conversation last week, and a couple of brothers didn't want to hear what I had to say, and that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem, okay? So we're going to talk about it today. Like I said, we're going to make some people uncomfortable, and that's okay. Because I'm uncomfortable as a cis woman every single day in this world, okay? So we're all going to be uncomfortable so that we can have the change that we need to have, okay? All right, yes, love that, thank you, yes. Okay, so I want to call on some of my theorists that I really appreciate. We have muted group theory by Charles Ardner, and it was reintroduced by Charisse Pré-Marais. This image is very, very appropriate, because a lot of times when you are suffering from some type of systemic oppression, you tend to be silenced. You tend to be ignored. People are speaking over you. They're literally talking for you as if you do not have a voice. Just think about the privilege that you have if you don't have that problem. If people come to you and ask your opinions, that's privilege, you all. You need to acknowledge that. And it's not your fault that you have privilege. We're not up here telling you, shame on you for having privilege. No, we're asking you, what are you willing to do about it? That's what we're asking you. More importantly, what are you willing to sacrifice? Is your comfort willing to be sacrificed for somebody else who has much less privilege than you? That's the question, okay? That's the question, all right? I also want to highlight, I gotta fix this one when I do it, okay. I also want to highlight that as we continue to move in, and my apologies for the slides being cut off, but we're going to roll with it and make it happen. I also want to highlight that as we continue to think about the manifestations of patriarchy, we also have to think about how we can apply it from 3 different angles. I'm pulling from Dr. Kamara Jones's Gardner's Tale about racism. Not sure if you've read it, but you should if you have not. I am applying the 3 theories that she mentions in that story and applying it to patriarchy. The first one is personally mediated. from a personal standpoint, this is where you have unintentional acts of omission, acts of commission. If somebody is making a sexist joke and you don't intervene to speak on that behalf, then you are committing to this idea of oppression happening instead of speaking up and using your privilege to do something about it, right? Internalize. This is me as a person with a PhD holding imposter syndrome today in front of you because patriarchy has taught me that what I have to say is not valuable. That is internalized patriarchal oppression, and it's something that needs to be addressed because if we don't really look at the bigger problem, then we're not really understanding how these things are laying in. I have these images here to remind us of where we all have came, because everybody knows that the civilization of Earth started in Africa, right? But what you may not know is that these faces here are the reason you all are here today. I will start with Henrietta Lacks. All of us have been sick at some point, and without Henrietta Lacks' self, we would still be sick, if not more firmly dead. So we owe her everything, but yet we don't give her credit. We don't say her name, we don't acknowledge her, we don't even acknowledge what she did. She contributed to science on so many different levels. It's also been supported that she had something to do with some of the COVID vaccines that are coming out. She probably had something to do with measles, she had something to do with polio, but we don't say her name. Why? We don't say Carlotta Lusumi's name. Anybody know who Carlotta Lusumi is? Okay, we got a couple of hands. Come on, comrade. Come on. Who's Carlotta? Come on, comrade. Go ahead. We went to Cuba in December. Come on.
Yeah, we went to Cuba and we learned about her. There was a slave revolt in Cuba on this plantation, and we freed her and her plantation.
Yep, very good. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. She led the revolt with 2 other comrades, you all. So say Carlotta's name, because without Carlotta, none of us would be here, especially if we have Cuban heritage, okay? None of us would be here. Say Carlotta's name. I also want to highlight my 3 comrades up here. Anybody know these comrades? Literally, none of us would be here without them, and I do mean none of us. I'd like to introduce you to Anarcha, Betsy, and Lucy, the women of gynecological medicine. Forget James Marion Sims, because he doesn't matter, okay? I want you to know these people's names, because without them, reproductive justice, OBGYN medicine, none of it would exist. These women had multiple surgeries done on them, unanesthesized, by the way, unconsented. Yes, I'm glad you're responding that way, because it's disgusting. But this is the truth, and we need to talk about it. Without them being uncomfortable every single day, Lucy had 30 surgeries on her alone. Without them being uncomfortable, none of us would be here because we all came from a vagina. And that is the truth, okay? Let's call it out and let's name it, okay? The last thing I want to highlight is institutionalized patriarchy. This is systemic, this is the gender wage gap, this is the fact that I have to call out the fact that we need more equity when it comes to discussions like this. This is the fact that people are shaming me and saying, why you have no more women speaking? I'm saying that we need more women speaking because women are the voice of the future. Women matter, non-marginalized genders matter, non-binary voices matter. One of the things I love most about the All-African People's Revolutionary Party is it literally says the all African people, because we understand that we all contribute. More importantly, we all have a place to play when it comes to helping us to get organized. Okay, really quickly, I'll highlight these 2. This is Karen Johnson and this is Dr. Shalon Irving. Unfortunately, they died from maternal mortality and it could have been prevented. I'm gonna leave it there because I'll get emotional if I keep talking about it. It could have been prevented. They could both still be here today. But that's unacceptable. So we gotta do better and we gotta say their names.
Face it that way.
What way? Well, the plug, yeah, the plug is back there, yeah. Okay, thank you, I appreciate you. Okay. All right, one too fast, here we go. Okay, all right, so our theme for today, for African Liberation Day. Okay, so solidarity with oppressed people everywhere, our struggle is one. Let's give it up for that theme. Give it up for that theme. Hopefully you were here at the beginning, so you saw that we had different speakers coming up. Some speakers were African, some were not. That was not by accident. We did that on purpose. We always do that because that is who we are, and we understand that our fight is their fight. I want to highlight a couple of these organizations that you see, some that are here today and some that were here in previous years on our panels, right? When we think about the connection between indigenous people and African people, I want to give a shout out to Vilma Espen. I want to give a shout out to Ernesto Che Guevara, okay? Without these folks, we wouldn't be in the positions we're in because they single-handedly worked with other people to help us to achieve different levels of oppression so that Cuba could be free and establish the Women's Federation organization. And I don't need to speak too much about Ernesto Che Guevara, because without him and his sacrifice, a lot of countries in Africa would not be free today. And that is the bottom line. If you don't know about Che, you need to do your research, okay? I also want to highlight our European comrades. Comrade, you spoke earlier and said that you were white, but you still have a place to be here. And I said, okay, because I agree with that. I agree with that. I am happy to say that I grew up in the All-African People's Revolutionary Party, and I'm thankful to know names like Marilyn Buck. I'm thankful to know names like the organizers with the Irish Social Republican Party. Without them and their struggle of being colonized for 1,000 years under the British colonial terror, we wouldn't have the opportunities to discuss and organize today. So it's very important for us to make those connections. It's not about oppression Olympics. You understand what I'm saying? It's about us understanding that we have a fight together, okay? There's an organization called Asians for Africans. Y'all know that? It's an well, do your research. Do your research if you don't know it. Organization called Asians for Africans. I'm so thankful to think of the Ho Chi Minhs of the world. I'm so thankful to think of Yuri, my comrade who gave mouth to Malcolm X. Yes, let's give it up for them. Yes, absolutely. We also need to mention our comrades of Palestinian descent, our Arab comrades. You know, I'm still thinking about how during the BLM and the protests for George Floyd, they were posting messages on Twitter telling Africans with BLM how to deal with tear gas. That's not by accident, you all. We want to free Palestine because Palestinians deserve their land back, but we also appreciate Palestinians supporting our struggle because our diamonds are stolen and gone to Palestine to be cleaned. So they need their land back so that they don't have to worry about getting the toxic fumes from the diamond cleaning, and we need our diamonds back because we deserve to sell them how we deserve to sell them. So it's a connection for all of us. We all win. Again, the oppression Olympics is not a place for us. We need to fight, we need to resist, and we need to be one together and stop centralizing our own problems like we're individually in this, when it's not all about that. Imperialism doesn't care how much money you make. They don't care what your gender is. They don't care what color your hair is. They just care about how they can profit and take over your land and country. And the sooner we all realize that, the better for all of us. Okay, the truth is, time I have left. The truth is, non-marginalized genders, women identifying folks, have always been on the organizing front. Always and forever. Shout out to the Brown Berets. Shout out to WARN, Women of All Red Nations. Y'all don't even know about these organizations, okay? Shout out to our comrades who gave this the talk. There's a statement on the Haiti Action Committee website that talks about oppression and eradicating patriarchy for Haitian women, okay? Shout out to our comrades that are at home doing the work, helping us to see how this is relevant and important, right? So we can think about Patience Johnson, this person right here, who said it is all women that are beyond their belief in the power of representation and the governance, and they are a committee to ensure that all women's voices are heard, where their contributions are valued in shaping the future of the nation. And we can even think about the work that's being done at home with the Pan-African National Congress, the PNC, and then we can also think about the AAPRP. Without them, I wouldn't even be standing here today in front of you. Shout out to the AAPRP. Shout out to the All-African Women's Revolutionary Union. All right, and Gabriella, my apologies, didn't mean to leave out Gabriella. Gabriella, definitely an amazing organization. All right, so as we prepare to close, I just want to say a couple more things. What is the solution? Well, first, you need to be uncomfortable and call out stuff that is wrong. If you see somebody being harmed, if you see someone being disrespected, call it out. Use your privilege. That's what it's for. Use your privilege to change the world, make it a better place. Do an event on patriarchy. Do an event on the International Women's Day. Do events that are not popular and use your privilege and your position to recruit more people to come. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take all of us doing this work. But the problem is, when I do the work, no one shows up. That's the problem. So you all need to do the work with me. We need to work together to make this happen. We have the power to do it. Look at what happened today. We all came here today. We're capable. We can do it. All of us have survived so many amazing things and hard, treacherous things, and we are still here standing. We are still here today. So that means we are capable, and that means imperialism can't take that from us. Okay, as I close, if you are African, please scan this QR code. We would love for you to join our organization. If you are not African, we have plenty of speakers here that you can talk to where you can get more information. I also want to give a shout out to my comrade Anem, the Burkina books. The QR code is there. And this is a great read if you're interested in increasing your political education, written by the next speaker who is coming up, Ajamu Umi. As we continue to deal with this, I just want to give a shout out to Ajamu real quick and say that as a cis man, even he is using his privilege to write a book about combating patriarchy. That is what it's going to take. That is what it's going to take. Forward ever, power to the people. Let's dismantle patriarchy. Long live the All-African Women's Revolutionary Union. Thank you.
Let's give Shakura one more round of applause, please. We do have a special recognition, speaking of honoring and highlighting the work of women, Nadambo.
Warmest African greetings to everyone. Let's take a minute. We want to recognize an individual who has been in the All-African People's Revolutionary Party and the All-African Women's Revolutionary Union for 50 years. That is a true soldier right there. 50 years they have committed their life to Africa and African people. And I have had the pleasure of being in a study circle with this individual since I believe the 1980s. And I have learned a lot from this individual, and I continue to learn a lot from this individual. There is a lot more that I can say about this individual, but I am going to let her come up and tell her story. Please welcome comrade sister Moya Mziri Campbell.
I got 5 minutes, okay. They love me. They love me. And they know me.
But yeah, I wasn't expecting that. A thank you in this movement? Okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's change the culture, you know? Let's change the culture. Let's recognize and respect the women, you know, in the movement. One thing I can say, if it wasn't for the All-African Women's Revolutionary Union, I wouldn't be in the All-African People's Revolutionary Party. Because it's the only organization I know that actually gave a voice for African women in the revolution. It had everybody in the All-African People's Revolutionary Party studying the revolutionary role of women and learning how we can fight and lead just like our comrade brothers. And so, for me, I can say truly that the person I am today, and I give thanks for my son, Sabukwe Ture. You know, you don't come by, you know, a name. In fact, when Minister Keith was here, we were joking, because I was saying, Mr. Keith, you probably don't recognize the 3-month-old in the corner when we first brought you to African Liberation Day in Sacramento. And that you stayed at Ajamu's house. And Minister Keith came up as a student at Long Beach State where I was organizing. And, you know, it's the work we have, and I'm proud of, I claim Minister Keith's work. You know, I claim the work of the Nation of Islam because all of the people we have touched in our movement throughout the world reflects the Pan-African consistency, the love, and the correctness of our line that really has inspired thousands and thousands of people, Africans, indigenous folks. I mean, Libertad was up. Libertad is my niece in La Raza Unida and in Union del Barrio. So that family, I have been organizing with them since they were little kids. This is struggle, y'all. And I love the struggle. Thank you.
to the keynote presentation of the evening. We have Ajamu, a longtime organizer and member of the AAPRP coming.
All right, how y'all doing? We're almost finished. I just want to say I'm not wearing sunglasses because I want to be cool. They're prescription and I forgot my other glasses, so I don't need glasses to be cool. So we're going to make this happen. We're going to get through this quickly. But first, before we spend these last couple of minutes, I just want to say, well, all the people, if you're able, who are organizers in the All-African People's Revolutionary Party, in our process, would you please stand so people can recognize you and see who you are? Some of us live in Sacramento. Some of us live here in various parts of the Bay Area. Raise your hand. Some of us live in Burkina Faso, in West Africa. But we are here, you all, and we are fighting. Pan-Africanism is not a dream, it's a reality, and we are making it a reality. So we just want to spend the last couple of seconds talking about our theme this year, Revolutionary Pan-Africanism fights for solidarity with oppressed people. Our struggle is one. That's our theme, and we just want to speak to that quickly and just do it from the context. Of course, this thing is not going to work now, but that's okay because the ancestors have properly armed us, so we're prepared either way. But we want to just say that when we say this is our theme, what we mean, you all, is that we recognize that as African people, and we are African people. Can we say that again? We are African people. We are African people. We're not native people to the Western Hemisphere. All right? We are African people. And the reason why we know that is because every African in here, if you don't have sickle cell anemia, you got the sickle cell trait. Where did you get that? Where did you get it, y'all? You got it because your cells mutated fighting malaria. There is no malaria in Oakland, California. All right? The malaria is at home in Africa. You are an African. You call your grandmother Big Mama. Is that right or wrong? What word does mama translate to in Swahili? Mama. All right? All right? Where did you get that from? You got it from being African. That's what we are. Say it one more time. We're African. So we have to talk about why we say solidarity is because of the pictures you see here. The wealth of the Western capitalist empire came from the transatlantic slave trade. Right? Sugar, cotton, textiles, coffee, all of these things that our ancestors picked made Europe rich, you all. That's what did it. It was not hard work. It was not they were blessed by God. It was none of that nonsense. It was the theft of our ancestors and the theft of our mother Africa. That's what did it. And the process, the banking industry, look it up for yourself. Go to, when you leave here, look at your phone and say, that African was lying. Look it up yourself. And if you do, you'll see that the banking industry in this society started from financing slave ships and slave plantations. That's how Wells Fargo got rich. Don't take my word for it. That's how Bank of America got rich. That's how Chase got rich. That's where they got their money, you all. That's where it came from. And you got $5 in the bank with these banks, and you're like, I got an account there. Yeah, they owe you money. I got an email from Chase the other day. I called them up. I'm like, y'all owe me money. But I don't want your money. I just want to make the point so we understand the insurance industries here started by insuring. You got a car, you have insurance on your, because that's your property. Is that right or wrong? The insurance companies here started by financing our ancestors picking cotton on the plantation. All over the Western Hemisphere. That's how they started. Aetna, New York Life, AIG, that's how they all got where they are today. And so these, some of our people walk around today, well, where is the evidence of the slave ships? Someone said, y'all heard that? People say that. Somebody said that to me the other day. I'm like, well, I've done the research. All you got to do is look at the insurance companies. They insured them. Yes. They have the records there. So we got to stop this nonsense in 2026 and get serious about this struggle. That's why we say Pan-Africanism. Because all the wealth that they have, they are trying to keep it at every cost against our interests. And they are not going to give it to us. We're not going to vote it out of them. We're not going to sing it out of them. We're not going to pray it out of them. We got to take it from them. That's how we're going to get it. We got to take it back. And I know some of us here shaking our heads like, I ain't going to do nothing. Well, some Pan-Africanism, y'all, what we're saying is that we're talking about China here today. Because why? Because China is a world power. Everybody in here knows that. Malcolm X talked about, they used to say what? You don't have a Chinese chance, right? You don't even know that saying today. Because they're respected as a world power. Now, we don't want to do it exactly the same way they're doing it, but that's what we need for Africa. Because if Chinese people walked in here, you don't know if they were born in Beijing, Shanghai, or West Oakland. You don't know, but you would respect them if they walked in this room because China's respected. Is that right or wrong? Y'all look at me like you know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. That's the reality. So that's what we need because we don't have that. Africa is not respected. A united, liberated, socialist Africa helps us in East Oakland. Yes. Because it changes the narrative. Not only does it do that, it allows us to have the capacity to solve our problems. Right? There are 600 million hectares of arable land in Africa today. Land that can grow food. You know how much food is growing on that land today? Not one banana. Not one apple. Because the corporations control it. The San Joaquin Valley up where I live in Sacramento is 50,000 acres of land. It's the 4th largest food producing region on the entire planet Earth. So you tell me, why are African people starving anywhere on Earth? Because we don't control Africa. The brother from the Congo, Friends of the Congo, talked to, he said it, like we don't have, there's no coltan in Oakland. There's no cobalt in Oakland. You can't charge your phone with cobalt from Oakland. Where does the cobalt come from? Sister Nim talked about the uranium fueling electricity in Europe. There's no uranium in Oakland, y'all. I know we love Oakland. I'm from Hunters Point, right across the bay in San Francisco. I love the Bay Area. I live in Sacramento. I think about the Bay Area every day. Trust me. Okay. But there's no uranium in Hunters Point. There's only pollution in Hunters Point. The uranium is at home in Africa. That's why we want to free. I don't care if you never leave East Oakland. You need to want Africa to be free. Yes. Right? That's why we say Pan-Africanism. So we're having African Liberation Day everywhere on Earth this weekend to commemorate our people coming together. Some are in French. Like Inem said, in Burkina Faso, they're doing it in French. They're doing it in Creole, in Guinea-Bissau, in Swahili, in Kenya. All over the place we're doing it. In Germany, in French, in France, in British England, in Britain. And I'm doing it in Ebonics in Oakland. But we're all doing it because Africa must be free. That's it. So the last part is that we can't do it in isolation, you all. We are not in this fight. I know, like, some of us feel like if we support other struggles, it takes something away from our struggles. And it does not. It makes our ability to contribute to our struggle stronger. Because when we understand the power in unity, then that helps us understand how to correctly attack the enemy. Right? Shakura mentioned that Palestine, the Zionist state of Israel, finances Zionism by African diamonds. That's a fact. That's a fact. So if you're an African, you should want Zionism to be defeated. And an African told me the other day, well, I don't support Palestine because they got stores in our neighborhood. I'm like, I grew up with that. I understand that. But I don't care if every Palestinian on earth hated African people. I would still want Palestine to be free. Because if they defeat Israel, that makes our fight easier. If you got an enemy, somebody that's causing you problems in your neighborhood, you can hate that enemy. But if someone comes along and they want to beat up that enemy, you're going to be like, well, I hope they don't win. Yes. Of course you're going to want them to win. That's just science, y'all. Is that right? Yes. Y'all looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. I know you know. You just don't want to admit, I know you know. I ain't worried about y'all. I know you know. I know you know. So, solidarity. So the last thing, we got to be in solidarity. We got to support the Palestinian people's fight for freedom. We have to do that. We have to recognize that the Eritrean fight is our fight. A lot of the problems in Eritrea are because the Eritrean People's Liberation Front was one of the first movements in Africa, correct me if I'm wrong, brothers, that supported the Palestinian struggle, right? And that's a lot of the reason why we have problems in the Horn of Africa today. We got to see that as our problem. It's our problem. What's happening in the Congo, it's a mad rush for the resources, you all. These pigs and these no-good bastards want the resources. So they're exploiting our people, and they're sending all these militias. There's 120-something active militias in the Congo.
Speak on it.
That's because they want the resources. The resources are not on East 14th Street out here. They're not. I still call it East 14th. I'm old school. They're not on East 14th Street. The resources, whether we like it or not, are in Africa. The Congo is the richest resource region in Africa, which is the richest resource region in the world. If you take all of the other continents combined, they don't have the resources Africa has. That's not my opinion. That's an irrefutable fact. That's why the mad rush for the resources is on. That's why they don't want us to know that we're Africans. Because there's 50 million Africans in the U.S. And they know that the day that we wake up and realize that Africa's interests are our interests, they know their days are done. They know. That's why they don't want you to recognize Africa. They want you to recognize everything except Africa. Because there ain't no power in it. The power is in unity, one unified socialist Africa. The last thing is that we have got to be in solidarity with Cuba.
Yes!
We have got to be in solidarity with Cuba. Some of you ask why? Why should we be in solidarity with Cuba? Because Cuba has always been in solidarity with us. Always been in solidarity with us. And the last thing I say, if you don't know me, you got to know this. So, Shakura mentioned that in 1960, you know, the Congo got its independence. And when the Congo got its independence, they elected Patrice Lumumba as the first democratically elected prime minister. Within 3 weeks, the CIA was sabotaging it. They had the military stage an uprising. By January of 1961, 6 months after that, they murdered Patrice Lumumba and boiled his body in acid to destroy the evidence. And the fight continued. The National Congolese movement continued fighting. In 1964, Che Guevara went to the Congo with 100 Africans from Cuba, and they fought to try to help the Lumumba's forces win. They were not successful, but Che went to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and he made contacts. And when I went to Tanzania, to the Cuban embassy, they let me, I was talking to him about Che, and he said, I'll take you where Che was. And he took me up there and showed me where Che lived there for 6 months. And Che made contacts all over Africa, and that turned into the African Military Command for the Cuban African Command. And that led to, in the 1980s and 90s, Cuba sent 500,000 troops to Southern Africa to stop Southern Africa from becoming a racist apartheid. They did that. And the results of that were the racist white cracker Mike Moore. You should read about him. M-O-A-R-E. He was a mercenary leader from Belgium. They were fighting the Cubans. He said, we will never win as long as these Cubans are here. And in his memoirs, they were fighting the Cubans with the Angolans, because they were fighting Mozambique. They were fighting against South Africa, the U.S., Zionist Israel, these racist mercenaries, and they whooped the hell out of them. Whooped the hell out of them. And the result of that, to get the Cubans out of Southern Africa, was Namibia being independent, Angola being independent, Nelson Mandela being freed from prison. They said, we'll let that Negro out, just get the Cubans out of here. That's what happened. You ain't gonna learn about that in Mr. Snodgrass's class, so we gotta talk about it in African liberation. That's what happened. That's why the first thing that Mandela did when he got out of prison was what? He went to Cuba. And he said, thank you for what you did. And then he went to Miami, and all those racist roaches down there in Miami were booing him and hissing him. We should have got Raid and just sprayed him on all of them. But they're not even worth the cost of a Raid can. So the other thing, did y'all know that Cuba has been a safe bastion for African freedom fighters from this country? From Oakland, California. Did y'all know that? Cuba did it. Cuba did it. Cuba in 1962 welcomed Robert Williams. He was an NAACP leader from North Carolina. He said, because of the Ku Klux Klan violence, he told the Africans in North Carolina, we got to arm ourselves. And the Ku Klux Klan came after him. The police came, the same thing, came after him. And as a result, he fled to Cuba. Cuba welcomed him with open arms. Open it. You should read his book, Negroes with Guns. You should read that. Right? After that, Eldridge Cleaver. Now, we can talk about Eldridge Cleaver for a long time. But in 1968, he fled this country, escaping charges, and ended up in Cuba. He acted a fool when they made him leave, but he still was welcome there. That's a fact. He still was welcome there. Huey P. Newton, I would argue, The actual founder, along with Bobby Steele, and certainly the ideologue for the Black Panther Party here in Oakland, went to Cuba for 3 years, escaping charges in the mid-1970s. And of course, we know Assata Shakur was there 40 plus years. Oh, yeah. We know that. And the last thing, they're talking about, they indicted Raul Castro. Raul Castro has been there for us for 6 decades. Do y'all know that in 2014, when Obama met with Raul Castro, did you know what happened? No. They had a meeting. And Cuba has suffered from a 60-plus year economic blockade. They can't get medicines, they can't get spare parts, they can't get anything. You can't even use credit cards. When y'all were there, you couldn't use credit cards. And Shakur asked me, why couldn't? Because MasterCard and Visa are capitalist corporations, and they're not allowed to do business in Cuba. So you couldn't even use your cards down there. And this is the impact of the blockade that the U.S. has forced on Cuba. So they had a meeting in 2014, and Barack Obama, because I know a lot of y'all are at Barack Obama, all right, I got a joke about that. What's the difference between Simba from the Lion King and Barack Obama? One's an African lion, the other's a lion African. So, y'all love Barack Obama. But when Obama met with Raul Castro in 2014, Obama said, we will talk to you about lifting the economic blockade if you give us Joanna Chestnut. They don't use our African names. They call her Joanna Chestnut, slave name. And you know what Raul Castro told him? That, sir, is not on the table. That is not on the table. So stop all this nonsense about we don't have any allies. The Cuban Revolution has done more for African people than most of us will ever imagine. They sent doctors to 30-plus countries during the COVID epidemic in Africa. They did that. While most of us wouldn't even wear masks. They did that. So Cuba has been a solid accomplice, and we need to be there for them. So I'm just going to close. I'm going to give you 3 things that we can do today. All of us can do. Number 1, if you go to the table, you should become a sponsor for Burkina Books, our program to bring revolutionary literature to the Sahel region. You should pick up your pamphlet, you should become a monthly sponsor, and give the money. You should do that. Another thing you can do today is you can find out what's going on with all the other movements we've talked about. Union del Barrio, we talked about the Palestinian Youth Movement, we talked about the African United Front here in Oakland. Find out how you can contribute. I can already tell you, they don't need you going to their meetings, taking up space, running your mouth. Give them some money. That's what you can do to help them. Give them some money. And the last, and I would argue the most important thing you can do is join an organization. Today. Don't wait till tomorrow. If I had a dime for every time somebody said, I could be retired already in Africa. Do it today. Join an organization. We got several in the room. You can join the All African People's Revolutionary Party. I don't want to do that because I like capitalism, even though my power's out of my house. Okay, that's fine. No problem. We won't argue with that. We got people from the Malcolm X grassroots movement here. We got Black Lives for Peace. We got all kinds. We had the Nation of Islam earlier. We got all kinds of organizations. If you don't want to join any of those organizations, then today, you all, start to, I'm glad that he's finished. I hope there's some more bean pie organization. Start that organization and organize our people for justice. And we'll help you start that. I'm glad he shut up. I hope there's some more bean pie organization. We'll help you start. And the last thing is the reason why we understand this, y'all, is because in the All African People's Revolutionary Party, we have intense political education. We study. I've been in a work study circle for decades with Akabundu, Nidamu, Tumikia, Nehanda, and Zuri. We studied. We had a meeting last week, how long? 5 hours. We're old, but we're dedicated. We're dedicated, y'all. And I don't care how long it takes. I could drop dead right now. I'm going to do everything I can to fight this peace. Yes. The problem is we need more people. You cannot look at this struggle like we're watching TV. We're waiting for something to entertain us. You got to get involved. You got to do this work. We need young people. We need you to come in with your ideas. We are open to that. But we want to focus on our prize, which is Africa. Yes. Which is Africa. Yes. I'm not trying to put on, for those organizations that are working in Hunters Point, I praise them, I contribute to them, I talk to them. That's a beautiful thing. I grew up there, it's a terrible place. We need to do work there. But in those of you that are working in an electoral arena, that's a beautiful thing. Do that work. Just build a movement to support your work there. But we are going to work for revolution. We're going to work for constant change. That's what we're going to do. So you decide which one of those areas you want to do, or you create something else you want to do. But African Liberation Day, the message is, we know that until we organize, we will never defeat this enemy. The FBI is organized. The CIA is organized. Mossad's organized. M16 organized. All these entities holding us down are organized. And we think we can show up when we want to. We think we can talk bad about each other. We will never win like that, you all. We will never win like that. We will only win when we decide that enough of that, we're going to come together and we're going to fight. So we expect you to come talk to us. We will talk to you. Join an organization, working for our people. African Liberation Day 2026 or whatever.
Give it up one more time for example. Last announcements. Just a reminder, this is not the end of African Liberation Day. There is a webinar on tomorrow. I believe you can find it on the AAPRP International YouTube page. Just also want to give a gratitude to those recording that came out and recorded the program. CRC for doing security for us. To the hospitality team that came out. I just wanted to give an applause to everybody that came out, honestly. Thank you for sticking with us. We finished on time. It is around like 4. So thank you for that. Thank you again. AAP 2026.